Welcome back to Warhammer Rogue Trader. Last time we became the Lord Captain and we're piloting the ship, and we got 3 things we gotta do now, which is refill the crew at a planet, which we gotta talk to a different Rogue Trader of the area called Winterset, I think his name was. So we gotta do that at some point. Then we gotta get a new navigator at the Vox, or what's it called? The one spaceship thing that's down. And then we also gotta get an engine seer prime. So that's what we plan to do. But this time is probably just gonna be talking to our crew and learning about them, so. Looks like you're close friends with Idira. The Voidborn seldom make friends, especially among the captain's entourage. But you see, many consider Idira to be different. I am different too. We have spent plenty of time in each other's company discussing Regicide, a human tabletop game played across the Imperium, a man similar to chess, over a glass of Amasek. Except Idira changed after one incident, and we started to drift apart. The death of Lord Captain Theodora made her withdraw even more. I do not know if Idira considers me her friend now, but we used to be very, very close. It is good I can still look after her in my own way. Perception tests succeeded. Interpreting the Vox Master's emotions based on a half-face and a Vox modulated voice. It's no easy task, but you manage to catch the undercurrent of Vigdis's words. The Vox Master is not merely saddened by her rift with Idira, she is devastated by it. Have you ever left the ship? Oh, I did once, and it was dreadful. It felt like the massive blue dome overhead could shatter at any moment and fall, and my bones would be crushed by the gravity. The ship is my home, Lord Captain, and I would not trade it even for the bounty of 100 worlds. Fair enough. Yeah, nothing new. Alright. Well, you learned about the Vox Master. Talk to you. He's the fire guy we learned. The Infernus Master, yep. The Infernus Master nonchalantly lights a IHO stick from a thermal cutter and spreads his arms in a welcoming gesture. Einrich Moteg at your service. IHO is... okay, it's basically a cigarette. It only tails after all. You don't look like a bringer of woes to me. What was that about a bringer of woes? Do I even need to say it? The moment you came aboard, Lady Theodora perished, so did her arch-militant, as well as half of the senior officers and a quarter of the Infernus Guild, along with the previous Infernus Master. What's worse, rations don't taste as good anymore, fires burn hotter, and that sinister... I survived a brush with a warp phenomenon in my past. That sinister look in your eyes looks like you're about to put a curse on someone. It's what the Voidsmen say, so it must be true. What if I were to put a curse on you this very instant? That would be a sight. I've never seen a real curse before. My niece would be thrilled to hear all about it. Remind me who you are again? I am a humble laborer in charge of putting out fires and dealing with emergencies, but call me the Infernus Master. I guess that is because I answer for them with my life. With your life, you say? That's right. Picture flames roaring. All the ship's systems have failed, including the artificial gravity. You can't make out anything because of the red-hot debris, and you know an explosion is coming. It's a nightmare, but it's your job to evacuate the panicked crew, eliminate the cause of the fire, and get the compartment back in working order. Of course, the job description doesn't allow me to risk my life now. It is all about management these days, sending the boys and girls into the fire. But it's all nonsense, and if the going gets tough, I won't leave them there alone. What kind of emergencies does the Infernus Guild deal with? Oh, there are many. Accidents due to external factors, for example, hits from enemy guns or collisions with hollow objects like the wreckages of other ships. There are plenty of internal causes as well, from system malfunctions and short circuits to problematic cargo. A couple years ago, something blew up in the hold, nearly burned it to a crisp, and then there's sabotage. That Voidver snake did a lot of damage to the ship. A laborer? Then why are you lounging on the bridge? The simple answer is because nothing is on fire. As head of the Infernus Guild, I'm mired in the officers' routine of reports and discussions. There are several compartment upgrades and refurbishments on the agenda right now, and I have to make sure that fire safety protocols are followed everywhere. Rest assured, I'll scurry back to the technical bays to do manual labor as soon as all the paperwork is done. Aren't you a little too relaxed? Perhaps because I live under the constant threat of an agonizing death by fire, I have a repressed, self-preservation instinct. Or perhaps I just relish every minute I can get to breathe Idaho smoke instead of cinders. I humbly apologize for my manners, Lord Captain. This is fine. I enjoy having informal conversations. I'm glad you feel that way. Life is too short to waste on ceremonies. It is better to present yourself as you are immediately. How did you come to be in service of the von Valancius dynasty? Not in the usual way. My ancestors wronged yours and were appointed Inferni as a result. Hard labor, deadly risks, plenty of opportunities to atone. Those criminals have been dead for generations, but we are still serving their time. Maybe we will find redemption one day. Tell me about the Infernus Guild. What interests you the most? Our duty, our state-of-the-art equipment, or our vibrant traditions? How are you organized? The Infernus service is split into different brigades according to duties. The heart of the guild are, of course, our liquidators. Tough guys with nerves of steel, who put out fires and pull people from the flames. Others are repairmen dealing with problems like jammed doors, fuel leaks, or broken vents. And then there's the walking inspectors who check the decks to make sure that nothing is blocking any passages or access to communication lines. State-of-the-art equipment sounds interesting. That was a bit of a stretch. I'm sorry. There is no state-of-the-art equipment. The risks of ruining it in a fire are too great. We get by using human resources and the most common items available: respirators, fire extinguishers, and flame retardant uniforms. Let's face it, the lives of the Inferni are not worth much. It's more important that we save the machines and minimize damage to the ship. What traditions? We have plenty of those, like the reminders. He rolls up his sleeve, revealing a tattoo inscribed over an old burn mark. When you survive a particularly hopeless accident, you get a tattoo on your scar. You can always tell an experienced Infernus by their ink. It's like a badge of honor of sorts. Tell me about your reminders. This one is from a time plasma leaked from the outer aft circuit. Imagine yourself clinging to the hole outside, thermal cutter in one hand and a magnetic clamp in the other. Azure flames burst from the breach, the kind that can incinerate you in a second. All that separates you from death is a flimsy rope and a void suit more ancient than Holy Terra. And yet the price I paid was nothing compared to my comrades. He slowly moves the augmented fingers of his right hand. Yeah. As for this one, I got this one in the ammo depot where my wife Elsinora died. There was a fire and the flames were getting close to the ammunition, and I don't mean auto gun rounds. These were macro cannon shells. Yeah. A type of void ship weapon generally mounted on the side or dorsal section. When fired, macro cannons launch several salvos against the same target. We put out the fire as best we could, but we were losing. Suddenly, Elsie took my hand, kissed me, and then ran straight into the blaze and activated the emergency blast door. We stayed outside while she vented the compartment. It was quite the story. I'm sorry for your loss. Yeah, it sucks. People die a lot in this universe. Probably die every second, to be honest. Never let your fire go out, Lord Captain. I mean, no. That's just a stupid little guild in joke. Seriously, if you see an Infernus next to a naked flame, run. Talk to the helmsman. Lord Captain, Master Helmsman Ravor at your service. You're a Voidborn, are you not? That I am, born into a Helmsman clan in the bowels of a Chartist vessel. Studied the family trade until I was 15, then my entire clan was butchered in a mutiny by lower hold scum. They spared the young'uns. Of course they did. Kids with implanted connectors make great navigational servitors. But I was having none of it. They weren't going to make a servitor out of me, so I escaped into the crawlways. And then I spent months picking them off one after one. You got me talking up a storm. Anyway, yes, I'm a Voidborn. Finish your story. Not much to tell. I gutted everyone I could get to, and then I fled upwards to the middle decks. That's where the auger operators took me under their wing. They have apprentice helmsmen of their own up there, you see. Nobody asked me any questions, so I stayed. I grew up, trained, got smarter, then ended up a junior helmsman. A dozen years later, Dan Rock spotted me and lured me away, the cheeky blighter. Tell me about the Voidborn. Lord Captain, I mean no disrespect, but you'd do better to find someone with a knack for conversation like Ptolemy. I ain't the talking type. I just get the ship where she needs to go. Best let folks stick to what they do best. What can you tell me about the other officers? Good for nothing wasters, that's what they are. Each and every one. Take generous Danrock, that high-born weasel. He fawns over the officers, but some of the deals he makes would get him burned alive. He drags other people into his schemes so that they can take the fall for him too. One of my junior helmsmen was ferrying goods for footfall for him, got caught by the seneschal, and ended up in the void hatch. Danrock couldn't care less. The Vox Master, another Ptolemy, like the last one, void rest him, is no better. She cut off half of the Vox channels the day she took up her post. Said the Vox systems were damaged and the engineerum had no contact with other modules. But how am I supposed to steer a ship, collect the COGS reports with the power of my mind? First Officer Werzin, I can't stand him. Like every Navy officer I ever met, he doesn't know a thing about controlling a vessel in the void, but he puffs himself up all the time and throws his weight around. Me and him had to have a few words a few times before he left me alone. Thank the Emperor Theodora trusted me more than the Seneschal when it came to helming a void ship. Then there's that woman, what's her name? Talas? Lady Theodora brought her along whenever she went, and look what happened to her. I couldn't be surprised if it turns out it was that witch that delivered her to an early grave, just like countless souls before. I don't see why anyone would want that walking calamity on their ship, but some would disagree. They say she's friends with young Tolman, or at least she used to be. Tell me, do you like anyone at all? What kind of question is that? I like you and Lady Theodora before you. Where would I be if I was cracking jokes about the road trader? I don't want to die just yet. Who are you again? The helmsman. I stand at the wheel of this here tub, I mean your vessel, and bark commands at the idiots who tend to its related systems. In layman's terms, I'm the one who stops us from running into an asteroid or a disruptive gravitational wave when we're traveling through the void. Do you control the ship in real space? I wish that was my only job. I have to steer her through the warp too, but most of the credit for that goes to the navigator. The warp's a nightmare, always tossing up something new. All my years at the helm, they count for nothing in there. My part's small enough. I just monitor our systems, follow the charted route, and I don't kick up a fuss when new orders come in from the navigator's sanctum. Real space. Now that's where I keep my eyes peeled. Gravitational anomalies, void currents, hard radiation, that kind of shit shows up everywhere. Thank the Emperor, the augurs of this vessel are holding up, and so far we've been able to spot if something bad's coming our way. Who are the idiots you are in charge of? There are too many to list them all. Tech priests from the engineerum, voidsmen from the augur decks, the work-shy fools on the bridge. I'd have every last one of them flogged. They all need a wake-up call. They need to be whipped into shape, or else the ship will be going nowhere, or even worse, it'll be going somewhere we don't want it to. I can see you're not a gregarious sort. Have I done something to displease you, Lord Captain? I mean, true. On the contrary, you are the first person on the bridge not tripping over themselves to lick my boots. Oh yeah? Well, I'm pleasantly surprised myself that you aren't having me flogged for insubordination. Will wonders never cease? Connecting wires, once they go into the control panel, I become one with the ship. Except the bloody cogs messed up the wire stimulus, injectors, and connectors when they implanted them. They twisted the wires the wrong way or burned something in my noggin. Anyway, I can't sleep. It just doesn't happen anymore. I've been 30 years of non-stop stimulants and a splitting headache, so you'll have to forgive me if I'm not all smiles, Lord Captain. That's fine. Yeah, we'll talk to her. She said she had something to ask us.
Rogue trader.
Oh, you're gonna talk. You said you had a personal request?
I indeed have a request, Rogue trader. The accursed servants of chaos who assaulted this ship took the lives of your loyal crew members, and they orphaned many children, including the progeny of the brave officers who defended their posts until the bitter end. I don't know what customary practices there are for cases like this in Von Valancia's territory, but in the world I'm familiar with, the children of such brave souls could expect to receive some special consideration. Perhaps the rogue trader could meet with the orphans?
I'll meet with them. What good would meeting them do?
These children are the future of your crew, and one day, they too will have to stand against evil and heresy as their parents did. By meeting them, by speaking the right words to them, you will honor the memory of the fallen heroes and light the way to heroes in the making. They will always remember the day they met the rogue trader. Besides, it will bolster the orphans' spirits, help them recover from their loss, which can be hard for someone so young.
I'll meet with them. No formalities needed. These are the children of people who gave their lives for the Von Valancius dynasty. My consideration is the least that they deserve.
I will pass on your instructions. Thank you for taking my request to heart.
Of course. I have to make my way back to deck after that. The motley crew of adolescents do not take their eyes off you, gazing at you as if you are a creature straight from a fairy tale. Our indefatigable sister has been keeping an eye on these pups. It is hardly the Scola Progenium in here, but we have provided the orphans on our ship with adequate care and instruction. Yeah, the Scola Progenium is like a big school where basically if you're an orphan or, you know, some weird other circumstance, but if your family gets killed in a Tyranid attack or a Necron attack, or maybe they become heretics and they don't kill you for some reason, you'll be brought to this place, and there's like different things they'll specialize you for. Either, you know, if you're a female, you'll probably go to Sisters of Battle. Unless you're not holy enough, then you probably just go into the what's it called? The Imperial Guard. If you're a male that is strong enough and willful enough, you might get picked to go to a training ground and fight for your life to become a space marine, maybe. And sometimes you just disappear. Sometimes you become part of the assassins. I don't know, it's something assassinorum. I can't remember the first word. But yeah, there's also that. So it's basically, you go here, you find your place in the army, or you probably get put into servitude and have a terrible existence. It's terrible either way, but yeah. It is hardly the Scola Progenium. One second, sorry. In here, but we have provided the orphans on our ship with adequate care and instruction. Argenta is standing to the side of the group. At your approach, she perks up and announces, her voice ringing. Brave ones, the master of this ship has appeared before you. The ones who guides it through the darkness of the universe by the Emperor's will. Greet your Lord Captain, the rogue trader of House Von Valancius. You notice Infernus Master Heinrich Montag standing a few paces away from the orphans. He watches you with approval and bows respectfully when you meet his gaze. Do you serve as a teacher in your spare time? Not at all, your lordship. I'm just looking out for them. It's the Infernus way to help folks in trouble. If it's our job after all. So we chip in rations here and there and make sure nobody gives them a hard time. We take the older ones into the clan's care if they want. Many in the guild are not our family by blood but by circumstance. Okay. Give them treats and escort them to their homes. I believe a minute of beholding the Lord Captain is great enough honor for them. God. Yeah, I'm just gonna say, I greet you, brave ones. The teenagers keep staring at you. A girl who has remained close to Argenta smiles uncertainly. A skinny, pale lad tries to throw his shoulders back and stand at attention like a soldier. Only a few teenagers at the far end of the row seem sullen and not particularly impressed. One of the scowling visitors with a thin scar across his face tosses his head back and says bitterly, "So what? Why should we care? Our friends and parents died in their dozens for you, noble lot, and you just give us speeches?" Argenta quickly turns to the boy. A flurry of emotions flashes in her dark eyes, like she wants both to calm him and scold him for his impudence. Punish the troublemaker. Nah. They are thenceforth your clan. It falls to you to teach them the meaning of what their parents fought and died for. Nah. Yeah, if you have anything to say them without fear. I will listen. It doesn't matter what we say. It won't bring our parents back, and it won't change our fates either. We'll keep slaving away or on the ship until we drop and die like our folks, or worse. I understand your grief and dismay. It's not easy to think that they gave their lives for the truth, for the good of the whole ship, for the imperial. No. When the heretics who killed your parents attacked the ship, I was there. I took command, I fought, and I repelled the assault as quickly as I could, but no war can be won without losses. The strong have the power to decide the fate of others, the weak either obey or no. I'm gonna say this one. When they attacked and killed your parents, I was there. I took command, I fought, and I repelled the assault as quickly as I could, but no war can be won without losses. You can only strive to do what is within your power. You heard the rogue trader. His words carry the wisdom of the Imperium. It's hard to say whether or not your words have left an impression on the boy, but he nods slowly, then he catches himself and gives you an awkward bow. Abelard gives a sign, and servants immediately emerge carrying packed treats with Von Valancius emblazoned on the wrappers. It appears that the Seneschal came prepared for any contingency. So what, they're like pets? We're just throwing them little treats? That's a little stupid. Argenta rubs her temple pensively. She smiles and offers a few more words of encouragement, then leaves the bay. Oh. I wanted to say more. Dang it. That's fine. Yeah, but like, I get why they would be upset at me, you know. I'm the guy in charge, and because of, you know, the whole attack, which happened because they were trying to get rid of their bloodline, their parents died, so... Like, I tried, I'm sorry. Pretty sure in this game, you're gonna have people die no matter what. You can't really stop it.
Greetings.
Tell me about the Adepta Sororitas.
Gladly. There are none more faithful to the God Emperor than my sisters. We fight against his enemies by the will of the Holy Ecclesiarchy. We... I beg your pardon, rogue trader. Here I am, talking about what every lesser noble in the Imperium knows. So what exactly are you interested in hearing about?
They say the Adepta Sororitas are the fiercest in their faith among the warriors of the Imperium. Is it true?
It is. The Sisters of Battle are a fire lit by the God Emperor. They are the echo of his voice that travels through the dark expanses of the universe. We bring his wrath to heretics, mutants, and other enemies of humanity. We protect the faithful from the unholy and unhallowed. Sometimes with words, more often than not with a bolter.
Yeah. I remember looking this up. It was like, everyone believes that the Sisters of Battle or Adepta Sororitas have never fallen to the corruption of any of the Chaos Gods or anything. There has been at least one that I know of. But for a majority of them, like, I'd say 99.99% of all of them, they don't fall. So they're actually probably the most clear-minded and all that, because, you know, Space Marines fell to chaos. The Imperial Guard certainly does fall to chaos all the time. I don't know if the Adeptus Custodes have. They might be the only one that haven't, because of their connection to the Emperor directly, because they literally watch his throne room. But otherwise, these guys are probably the most faithful and loyal. Are all your sisters truly as faultless as you say?
Even the novices of the Adepta Sororitas are drawn from among the most worthy. Those who have taken the vows and become a full-fledged sister are the best of the best, tested by trials of body and spirit. Yes, there have been cases when a sister stumbled or showed weakness, but do not expect to hear a story of depravity or downfall from me. Each such occurrence is a great tragedy for us all. Light cannot bear the smallest speck of darkness within. And thus those who have trespassed or shown weakness of spirit are given a chance at redemption. They are called Sisters Repentia, and may the enemy tremble before her, for nothing can stop a sister of battle who yearns to be cleansed of fault and weakness. Wearing nothing but robes, no armor, eviscerator in hand, those sisters who have once faltered find repentance on the battlefield. Their lives are seldom long, but a death in the name of purgation is a better fate than to live with a shadow in one's soul.
What order are you from?
Once I had completed my novitiate, I was sent to the Calixian branch of the Order of Our Martyred Lady, assigned to the Orders Pronatus. The Order's mission is vital and noble. The Sisters Pronatus protect great relics of the Imperium. We guard them, preserve them, escort them when they are brought onto the battlefield or presented for pilgrims to venerate. And we seek out the relics that have been lost. Neither a coven of heretics nor the most wicked death world can deter Sisters Pronatus when their goal is to return a piece of the great legacy of the Imperium into the hands of the faithful.
The Order Pronatus is not one of the Order's militant, and yet you are a trained fighter.
Don't let the name deceive you. The Order's militant trains sisters to march onto the battlefield as an army. That does not make sisters who belong to the non-militant orders timid and helpless. Both the solace-bringing Sisters Hospitaller and the enlightened Sisters Dialogus know how to greet enemies of humanity. Their dialogue with heretics is usually quite short, with the last word being a bolter discharge. And my order has all the more reason to be known for the martial prowess of its sisters. We are the keepers of the Imperium's relics. What would become of our blessed hero's legacy if the Sisters Pronatus could not protect it?
True. You said you belonged to the Calixium branch of your order. What brought you to the Coronis Expanse?
The Order sent me to Footfall. My undertaking was to assist the local priesthood of Drusians in caring for a sacred reliquary that had been there since the time of Parson Mr. Wayne, the station's founder.
And Drusians are followers of the cult of Saint Drusus, a legendary hero of the Angevin Crusade who founded the Calixus sector for the Imperium of Man. Cool. Are there any other members of the Adeptus Sororitas in the Coronis Expanse?
None that I'm aware of, but the Sisterhood's orders are many, and can operate independently of one another, sending their sisters wherever their presence is needed as deemed by the Ecclesiarchy. Perhaps somewhere in the Lord Inquisitor's retinue, may his path be blessed, my sisters perform their duty as we speak. I wish it were so. Even a single evening spent in joint prayer and training would bring me joy.
Yep. Have no more questions.
Should any more arise, keeping them to yourself would be imprudent. It is a virtue to take an interest in holiness.
How did you end up here?
I first came here when I found myself in need of passage from Footfall to a remote planet. But I imagine what interests you is not that first journey, but rather what brought me aboard prior to the cultist attack. That story is complicated. It just so happened that I made a mistake. In a moment of laxity, I was ambushed by the accursed followers of the archenemy. I was badly wounded. Lady Theodora came to my aid and brought me aboard her ship, where crew attended to me in my weakened state. It all happened not too long ago. I had barely recovered from my wounds when the cultists struck. Truly, the servants of evil know no rest. There is no place where we can be safe from their machinations.
True. What happened to the people who wounded you? Did Theodora's men eliminate them?
Sadly, they did not. Lady Theodora was in a hurry and chose not to stay on the planet. Her people took me to a ship while I was unconscious, and when I came to my senses, we were already flying away. How I pray to come face to face with those heretics once more, and it's bound to happen someday.
Yeah, but that's gonna be a loyalty quest or something like that pops up sometime. Is it difficult for you to accept that you made a mistake?
It happens even to the best of us. My mistakes are my burden to bear. I'll find a way to atone for them.
Where did it happen?
On one of the recently discovered planets in the Expanse. No one suspected that it had already been tainted by the filth of heresy. Had I known it beforehand, of course I would have been on my guard.
We could go to that planet and deal with the Chaos Worshippers.
The path to that planet was lost. All the knowledge is gone, along with the previous navigator. It would take immense effort and resources to rediscover the route. The heir to the von Valanci's protectorate must have plenty of other issues to deal with right now. Perhaps later, when the skies above our heads have cleared.
What was it like traveling on Theodora's ship?
I hadn't been here that long. Just one journey from Footfall, and the other journey, the majority of which I spent in the confines of the medbay. I can't tell you much about the first voyage. I was more focused on prayers and ruminations than on the people around me, or the journey itself. During the last journey, Seneschal Viserion stood out for me. He came by several times to ask about my health. He's an honorable man and a loyal servant of the Imperium. I think he is as meticulous in his inspections of the logistics systems as he is in his inquiries about the health of the occasional sister of battle aboard the ship. But not all of Theodora's people have earned my trust. You know who I'm talking about. There is no place for Adira Tlas among the God Emperor's faithful.
Dang.
I'm surprised she wasn't in league with the cultists. And I'm equally surprised by how deep heresy and treason run in this place. I'm glad we all made it through that dark hour. May the day that follows be bright. As you wish.
What is it that's keeping you in my retinue?
The ship was targeted by heretics, which means that my presence here and the assistance I provide to you are my sacred duty. Sooner or later, I will likely have to return to Footfall to protect its reliquary. But for now, I wish to remain a part of the Rogue Trader's crew.
Cool. Sure. I hope that you remain in the crew and that the ship becomes your home.
Those are very courteous words, Rogue Trader. Thank you. Both for your words and your hospitality.
Tell me about yourself.
About me? I am the Emperor's daughter and his servant. What else is there to tell about me?
Never mind. Sorry. Just try and be polite. Yeah, we got time to do another, I think. Let's talk to Abelard.
Lord Captain.
Let's talk about things that may be useful to me as the Rogue Trader.
A noble aspiration, Lord Captain. I am ready to acquaint you with all the particulars that interest you.
Outline the situation. What do I need to know and keep in mind?
This is a topic for an official briefing, not a casual conversation. But I will try to answer succinctly. And if you permit, in my own words. The Coronis Expanse is considerably removed from the heart of the Imperium. This means that local warp routes become useless within months. Established pathways are regularly subject to attacks from all kinds of rabble. And in the only major port, the Imperium's frigates find themselves moored alongside pirate vessels. Until recently, the Coronis Expanse could hardly have been called a region of the Imperium. The situation has changed with the arrival of the Lord Inquisitor, but not by much. This place operates under its own rules, you see. More radical, so to speak. But ones that allow for a non-standard approach where there is a promise of victory. The Coronis Expanse is considered rogue trader territory for a reason. Only rogue traders have sufficient military might, audacity, and the rights granted them by the warrant to survive the leap into the unexplored part of the Expanse. And in the event of a successful outcome, to hold on to whatever they manage to capture on the frontier.
True. Who are the main players I need to be aware of here?
In the first instance, you should treat official representatives of the Imperium with respect. The Expanse may be on the fringes, but it still numbers among the territories of the Golden Throne. The arrival of the Lord Inquisitor has turned the Coronis Expanse into a less wild and uncontrolled region, to the regret of some individuals who had grown inured to the local lawlessness. Rogue traders such as yourself are also servants of the Imperium. They have been accorded special rights and powers. They wield immense authority within their territory, and they enjoy absolute respect in other parts of the Expanse. The most powerful of them are Caligos Winterscale and Incendia Bastal Chorda. Tread carefully when dealing with either of them. If we are to speak of unclaimed territory, which is what Footfall is, among the scum that dwells on that handful of asteroids, there are 3 factions that wield considerable influence in the sector. The first is the Kazbala Commission, organized crime in its most primitive form. It holds sway over the Liege of Footfall and has links to rogue trader Winterscale. The second faction is an offshoot of our shining ecclesiarchy, followers of St. Drusus. They are actively building their forces and hold influence over rogue trader Chorda. And finally, the third faction, the Explorators, a wing of the Adeptus Mechanicus. They are willing to die and kill for the secrets of the ancient technological heresies that are hidden among the stars of the Coronis Expanse.
Okay. Good to keep in mind. Maybe I get one of them for my engine seer. Kunrad, our previous Master of Whispers, what can you tell me about his betrayal? What do you think he'll do next?
You know, Lord Captain, I am no admirer of fine art. But when we next find ourselves in a civilized port, with time to spare, I will promptly find an artist and commission a portrait of the individual to whom you refer, with a hole between the eyes. Conrad Voigtveer. That he committed his treachery and escaped with his life was an unforgivable oversight. We both served Lord Captain Theodora for many years, and we never saw eye to eye. He was brash. He was never afraid of assuming responsibility, and he willingly took on difficult tasks. I am loath to admit it, but the Von Valacius Protectorate continues to reap the fruits of his labors to this day. His service always garnered my respect. But everything else about him made me want to wring the neck of that two-faced snake.
Fair.
If you are taking comfort in the thought that we will hear no more of Conrad, prepare to be disappointed. You thwarted his plans, his meticulously plotted and nurtured treachery. He is sure to attempt to strike at you, and he will use his contacts and knowledge of the Protectorate to do so. The only question, Lord Captain, is whether you will be able to anticipate his next steps.
That's all for now.
As you wish, Lord Captain.
You may call me by my first name if you wish.
I thank you for the honor, but I must decline. As a former military officer, I believe in the importance of order in all things, including the chain of command. You are the Lord Captain, my direct superior. I am not prepared to address you in any way other than as regulation dictates.
I'd like to know more about my seneschal.
As you wish, Lord Captain. What would you like to know?
Tell me about yourself. What were you before you became Theodora's seneschal?
I used to be an officer in the Navis Imperialis. No. A used to be is not quite right. It was not simply a job. It was my calling. The essence of my life. I was proud to serve Lord Captain Theodora, but in my heart and mind, I'm still an officer of the Imperium. I met Lord Captain Theodora on a mission where the Imperial Navy was providing reinforcement to the rogue traders' army on one of the frontier worlds. Our acquaintance was not easy. Working with people outside the Navy hierarchy has never been my strong suit. It was to my great surprise then, that after the mission's completion, I received a referral to leave my service in the Navy and join the rogue traders' personal council. It was a difficult choice for me, but I saw in the offer a chance to serve the interests of humanity even more effectively than in the Navis Imperialis. You do not need me to tell you just how remarkable a person Lord Captain Theodora was. I recognized her at once as a true leader and formidable creative force. One who had built a protectorate amidst the dangers and wildness of the Expanse.
Leaving the Imperial Navy is far from easy. Why were you permitted to quit your post?
You could say there was no one among the naval command who was willing to impede the wishes of the rogue trader. To do so would be to risk their own position and their relationship with Theodora. Well, the Lord Captain possessed certain contacts in the Imperial Navy. Contacts which she used to request help during the conflict on the border world. And which enabled her to make me an offer that resulted in my joining her retinue. The Navis Imperialis
Nice.
is an ancient institution with its own mandates and muster lists. On occasion, in the heat of an official briefing, or an informal discussion, I violated those rules, determined to press my point.
Uh-oh.
It is challenging to choose the words to accurately express my opinion on a situation or the actions of others that do not sound overly scathing or confrontational. Many in command were inclined to view my manner of speaking as unbefitting a person of my rank.
The way you talk about Theodora, I'm beginning to... No, I'm not going to say that. Do you have a family?
I am a widower. I am a father of 4, and if my information is not outdated, a grandfather of 11. My family lives on Dargonus. None of my children express any eagerness or aptitude for serving aboard ship, and I would hardly have insisted that they follow in my footsteps.
I won't say that.
Of course.
I must take my leave.
Lord Captain.
That's sad. Let's talk to Janrus. Greetings, your lordship. Janrus Danrock at your service. How did you come to serve the Von Valancius dynasty? I come from Dargonus. You're... Ooh. The same place as... Okay. I come from Dargonus, your lordship. I have been a subject of your dynasty since birth, and have always strived to be of use to the great rogue trader. Alas, it was not my fate to be the primary heir of my own family. Due to my being 15th in line for the title, so I decided not to stand in the way of those behind me in case they attempted to shorten the waiting list at my expense. True. While my brothers and sisters schemed against one another, I studied the exact sciences and mastered bookkeeping, the greatest art of the Adeptus Administratum. I must admit that the accumulation of wealth, something one can control, is far more exciting than hunting, carousing, and the other traditional amusements of my noble peers. What was it like working with Theodora? Oh, now that's a tricky question, your lordship. Do you ask it of everyone, knowing they risk losing their head should they let slip a careless remark about your predecessor? I shall put it thus. Working with Lady Theodora was never boring and always profitable. The Imperium has billions of subjects, and very few do what they love and what they are best suited to. I would say Lady Theodora was one of those fortunate ones. She was a model rogue trader, and she surrounded herself with those who excelled at and loved their work. Hers was a rare talent indeed. I wish to know what you think of your fellow crew members. Keeping tabs on your subordinates? A wise move. Tell me who interests you, and I'll endeavor to be as honest as possible. Tell me about Seneschal. Lady Theodora managed to do what even the Imperial Navy could not, teach Master Wezerin to carry out orders that he fundamentally disagrees with. I do not know what methods she used, but the results is impressive. Having said that, there is something else you need to know. Lord Captain, your Seneschal is capable of being something far greater than a mere conduit of your will. He possessed the cunning and experience to run the Protectorate passably whenever Lady Theodora was away, and that really is saying something. Keep an eye on that old officer, I say, or alternatively, turn him into a faithful ally. I'd like to hear your opinion of Kunrad, the former Master of Whispers. I hope I never see him again. Set foot aboard this vessel again, or even as a servitor. Although he would be able to do at least some good that way. Someone has to clean the latrines after all. He gave us all quite a fright on that ill-fated day, Lord Captain, and still, to speak candidly, I never enjoyed Master Voigtber's company, but I believed him to be a man who knew how to do his job. Regretfully, I was mistaken. It turned out Kunrad lacked the most important quality for a Master of Whispers: unwavering loyalty to the rogue trader, and his failing came to light in the most deplorable manner. What do you think of Boxmaster Tolman? Ah, yes, the Voidborn. You know, in my family, we used such creatures as quarry whenever we went hunting. Mutants are the bane of humanity as an unseen tumor that threatens to end us all. But I digress. In the brief time Tolman has spent in post as Voxmaster, I have not noticed any significant flaws in her character or anything that would make me question her professional qualities. Needless to say, she is very diligent, as is any Voidborn seeking to earn their master's affection. I believe you can trust in her skills and loyalty. We gotta be that racist? Okay. I want to know more about the people who buy our plunder. Of course, Lord Captain, who interests you exactly? We most often deal with the followers of St. Drusus, the Explorators, the Casbalica mission, or Emperor forgive us, the Fellowship of the Void. What do the followers of St. Drusus acquire from us? The Drusians still hope to bring the Coronis Expanse into the warm embrace of the faith, just as their flock hopes to receive the aid of the Drusian missionaries. Each crate of food, shipment of clothes, or box of medicine marked with your seal is a sign the rogue trader himself believes in the sect's future success. Reverend Hieronymus is the first among the Drusians and is most often seen in Footfall's grand atrium. A gloomy fellow, but some also almost believe him to be a saint. Tell me about the Explorators. Members of the Explorator Cognizance fleet, which has been roaming the Coronis Expanse for a good while now. Omnissiah knows what they are hoping to find, but their acolytes regularly show up on inhabited worlds seeking bits of sacred knowledge, tracking down mechanical relics, and sniffing out Xeno artifacts. If truth be told, supposedly they want to save the ignorant rabble from corruption. A tech priest named Opticon 22 does business with us on the fleet's behalf. He can be found at the docks on Footfall. What about the Casbalica mission? Masters of the cold trade, immoral criminals, and notorious crooks to the last man. The mission is but one branch of the Mafia gang that has taken roots in the Calixis sector. You can do business with them as long as you take the necessary precautions. They are led by Vladim Tokara, who recently appointed himself Liege of Footfall. Of course, he is a trusted ally of Rogue Trader Winterscale, but he will not refuse you another of the Emperor's anointed. If you wish to talk to Vladim, look for him in Liege's palace on Footfall. What is the Fellowship of the Void? A pompous name, is it not? In truth, they are a gang of pirates who are forever squabbling over loot and territory. However, some of their little flotillas need supplies, or can take awkward cargo off our hands without asking questions. Of course, there is always a risk that these scoundrels will change their mind and attempt to board us instead. But so far, our macro cannons have managed to keep them in line. They say Riza Calvaria speaks on the Fellowship's behalf. The Adeptus Amasecus on Footfall is rumored to be her favorite haunt. Why are we giving away our spoils to these people in the first place? To profit from them, of course. Most of the things you will find during expeditions are complete junk to one such as yourself, but the less fortunate and affluent servants of the Emperor think them treasures, especially when they are bestowed by the great rogue trader himself. Drusian fanatics and pirate cutthroats, Casbalica dealers, and explorators, none will refuse our help in these dark and trying times, and there may come a time when we shall be the ones requiring aid, and it would be beneficial to have allies willing to provide it. Alright. With that, I think I'm going to end it here, but next time we will pick up. We'll finish this. We'll go to a different part of the bridge, or ship, I mean, and then we should be able to go around and go to the first mission by next time. Thank you guys for watching.